Well, as I've been considering getting back into political commentary after years of trying to avoid it and considering broadcasting to any degree, what better way than to comment on this growing story? Dr. David Dow, this past Saturday, dragged off of his United Airlines flight going from Chicago to Kentucky. Right now, as we speak, is a press conference with his lawyer and his daughter to talk about this. A couple of comments. First, the attorney in this press conference. Boy, oh boy, what an anti-corporate guy. Most of his 10, 15 minutes opening comments were about how the airline industry needs to change and treat people with respect, and they need to keep seats open for last minute contingencies, and all of corporate America needs to change how they're doing things and treat everybody blah blah, etc., etc. And quite honestly, you're there for one guy. Make it happen. And quite honestly, this one guy is not I know it's common. I know it's the rage to jump on this bandwagon and say that he was so badly abused and United is completely in the wrong. And the lawyer is playing on that now and trying to get his cause du jour in the limelight on the coattails of this story. So, just one more reason why attorneys, whether they're necessary or not, are despicable people for the most part. And I'll say on top of that, I've come across quite a few people that have their law licenses and have gone to law school, are practicing attorneys, and they're nice people. But in general, you get this kind of mentality where he's doing a lot more than just serving his client at the moment. Now to Dr. David Dow. One thing that I have not heard, well, let's back up. So through all of this story, his criminal background has become now broadcast across the newspapers. I don't know why newspapers are doing that, because he is the current celebrity of the media and the celebrity of the social networks and all of that. So I don't know why they're trying to tarnish this guy, except maybe to get extra information and be the first to do it. But his background is 100% irrelevant for this story. It doesn't change my opinion of him. It shouldn't change anybody else's opinion of him. His background, his trading, services for sex or whatever else was there, doesn't matter. What should matter, and I don't hear anybody asking this question, why was he so adamant and belligerent and stubborn and refusing to get off the plane? For starters, there is compensation that's given. I mean, that's just plain and simple. Unless he was late or gave the airline a reason to not compensate him, there is compensation for being bumped, whether it's voluntarily or involuntarily. So it's not like he was being thrown off the plane with nothing. But I know some people have said, I've heard it, that, well, why did they let him on the plane in the first place? Stuff happens. And the airlines have to do what they have to do in order to get their people to where they need to go to be able to service hundreds of other people. And so they needed the seat. That's the way it goes. That's in the fine print when you buy your ticket, by the way. There are several things that you can do to try to not be at the top of that list of being bumped. Like have a frequent flyer account. Even if you're not using it, have a frequent flyer account. Check in early. don't arrive late. Those kinds of things that keep you away from the top of that list. But in the end, it's they're playing their seat, and they can provide that service or not provide that service. And I guarantee to you that if any legislation or regulations come from this incident, it's going to make your ticket prices higher across the board. Period. So why didn't he get off? Why was he so belligerent? But the other thing that makes me not back him is this idea that he himself is so important that he can't be bumped. He must be at work the next day. All of us have to be at work the next day. But you know what? Stuff happens. And there are very few jobs in this world where we can't have a backup, where someone cannot back us up. Very few people in the world. I mean, criminy. Even the president has a backup. The president of the United States has a backup. So this holier than thou, overly self-important, self-aggrandizing self-image that this doctor had of himself, that he just could not miss work the next day. It's of such an egotist viewpoint that it's quite rank to me. It makes me not want to be on support his side. It does not lead me to taking his side. Then finally, there was, most of the videos only show him in the moments before being dragged out of his seat, and then that point after. But there is a video that shows the altercation itself, and him before being dragged off, arguing with the police. And we all know this is not a good idea. And I've done it. I've done it, and I know it can lead to worsening situations. But he's arguing with the police there, and he's threatening to sue. He's threatening to sue minutes and minutes before being forcibly dragged off. He's on the phone with somebody trying to make sure that it's getting set up. So Dr. Dow he created this situation. United Airlines has every right to remove him from that plane, and in fact should have charged him with trespassing at that point. So while the media while social media just holds him up as a hero of some type, he certainly is not that. And I don't think it is a good idea to hang anyone's hat on this clown's cause, on his situation. He messed up, and people are celebrating him for it. And we need to get away from celebrating the antagonizer especially when they create their own bad situation.